Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to MediaPulse, the show where we help you make sense of Thai politics.
All right. Well, it was another week dominated by headlines about the Shinawat family,
Exactly.
the father and the daughter. And it was made more dramatic by the intervention by another equally powerful family in one of our neighboring countries. That is the Hun family in Cambodia. And of course, we all remember how close the two families once were.
Yes.
The Cambodian strongman, the Hun Sen, referred to Thaksin as my brother, while Thaksin's daughter affectionately called Hun Sen uncle. But all of a sudden, the two families are now at each other's throats.
Yes, and that brings us to our first story of today. We're talking about the legal case in the Constitutional Court that could doom Paetongtarn's political future. And the case, as we all know, has everything to do with Uncle Hun Sen. So the Thai media has been full of speculation as to what kind of defense Paetongtarn will put up in answering charges of gross violation of ethical standards against her before the Constitutional Court in connection with her phone call, which involves Cambodian strongman Hun Sen last month.
But if you go back to what her father, the former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawat, had to say about the incident, then you would have a rather clear idea about it. In a much publicized interview with editors of the Nation media group, Thaksin gave his version, in his own words, how the young Prime Minister was lured into talking to Hun Sen on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And Thaksin said that Paetongtarn had arranged for a phone conference with Hun Sen in the afternoon of July the 15th to discuss ways to resolve the ongoing border conflict between the two countries. And Thaksin claimed that Deputy Prime Minister Thepchai and Foreign Minister Marit Sangyempong were by Paetongtarn's side, waiting at a hotel for the appointed teleconference time. Also present was Promilor Solidet, the Secretary General to the Prime Minister. By the way, Thaksin was talking about the hotel owned by his family and has often been used for gatherings by politicians in the government camp.
Yeah, Thaksin said Paetongtarn and her entourage waited and waited for 3 hours, and yet there was no response from the Cambodian side. According to Thaksin, Hun Sen later explained that he happened to take a nap and then forgot about the arrangement. At that point, Thaksin said he told his daughter to forget about the phone call and go home, but he didn't exactly say whether or not he was also with her at the hotel.
According to Thaksin, Hun Sen did get back to Paetongtarn through an interpreter later that night. But by the time the Prime Minister was already at home and alone without her entourage. But how the conversation between the two went has by now become a public record.
Yeah.
Essentially, Paetongtarn was heard begging for Hun Sen's sympathy, soliciting him to make demands in order to put an end to the escalating border dispute.
Yeah, this is a telephone conversation which is very hard to forget. At one point, she actually criticized a regional army commander for his tough stance on the border issue, even referring to him as our opponent. So as we all know, the phone conversation triggered an avalanche of criticism against the Prime Minister, and it gave rise to charges that she was selling out the country to Cambodia. It also prompted a group of senators to file charges of serious breaches of ethics against her in the Constitutional Court. And the 9 judges of the court decided unanimously to accept the charges for deliberation and ordered her suspended from performing active duties as Prime Minister pending a ruling.
And the question is, why did Thaksin bother to publicly defend his daughter over the incident? And Thaksin's version of the phone call is seen by some Thai media as a suggestion that his daughter was a victim of a well-planned scheme of the old foxy strongman Hun Sen. Now, in Thaksin's view, Paetongtarn never intended to discuss the affairs of the state all by herself with Hun Sen from the beginning. He claimed that Paetongtarn perfectly understood the protocol needed for such important arrangement. But in the end, she was forced by circumstances to converse one-on-one with Hun Sen when the latter made a call to her on her private mobile phone. Hun Sen, on the other end of the line, was joined by a Thai-speaking Cambodian interpreter.
Thaksin also offered his own interpretation of what Paetongtarn meant when she referred to the commander of the 2nd Army Region, Lieutenant General Hun Sen Phat Klang, as our opponent during the conversation. So Thaksin claimed that his daughter was only referring to what she believed to be their different political viewpoints. He said this, he said she wasn't suggesting that they were on opposing sides. And Paetongtarn came under heavy criticism for the remark, which critics see as her selling out her own general and forms the basis of the charges against her.
Some political analysts believe that while Thaksin's version of the controversial phone call was part of the attempts at damage control, it also offers an insight into how Paetongtarn is crafting her defense with the Constitutional Court. And early this week, Paetongtarn asked the court for more time to file her defense statement. That is also seen by some observers as part of her delaying tactics. A media outlet known to have a symbiotic relationship with the administration said Paetongtarn wants the passage of time to prove that there is nothing damaging to the country's interests resulting from her phone call with Hun Sen as accused by her critics.
And hopefully, if her government is able to lower the tensions between the two countries, by the time the court finishes deliberating on the case, it should help strengthen her defense. And what is interesting is how caretaker Prime Minister Thepchai Thepchai suddenly joined in the fray against Cambodian strongman Hun Sen as well. He actually urged the media and Thai people to stop listening to Hun Sen, who in the past 2 weeks has been attacking both Thaksin and Paetongtarn almost on a daily basis. Thepchai described Hun Sen as merely the father of Cambodian Prime Minister without any executive power.
And this is what he also said. In the eyes of the international community, he doesn't have any credibility. He meant Hun Sen. So political observers noted that it would not be a surprise if questioning Hun Sen's character and credibility will be part of Paetongtarn's defense with the Constitutional Court. By the way, when talking about Thai politics, it is hard to separate it from superstition. Because the same media outlet that is close to the administration reported that there is also a superstitious aspect to Paetongtarn's attempts to buy time for her legal case.
Yeah.
It quoted an unidentified party insider as saying that Paetongtarn is now going through a very inauspicious time at the moment. And according to astrologers, things for her will improve after her birthday. And her birthday will be August the 21st.
Yeah, so according to the media outlet, the advice Paetongtarn has gotten is that she should try her best to buy time and make sure that the court decision comes only after her birthday when all her lucky stars are set to align.
And I'm back on acting Prime Minister Thepchai. He should not expect to get away with his belittling of Hun Sen when he said Thai people should ignore the Cambodian strongman, whom he described as being nothing more than the father of the Prime Minister, Hun Manet, with no real executive power.
Well, the former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen hit back only hours afterwards with a very strongly worded social media post. Hun Sen described Thepchai as insolent and forgetful. And he recalled that Thepchai was with Paetongtarn waiting for the phone call from him on June 15th as well. And this was what Hun Sen said about Thepchai. And here I quote, "On June 15th, you regarded Hun Sen as a person of value, seeking his advice, opinion, or negotiation. But by July 16th, you claim that Hun Sen has no value in negotiations." Now, this one's harsh. Did you take the wrong medication, causing you to lose your memory like this?
I see. What Hun Sen was trying to say was that if he was of no value, as Thepchai claimed, so why did Thepchai join the Prime Minister in trying to make a call with him on the 15th of June?
Waited for 3 hours.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the spokesman of the Cambodian government, Pen Bona, doubled down on the acting Prime Minister of Thailand, saying that what Thepchai said was an insult to a beloved leader of the Cambodian people. He was referring to Hun Sen. The spokesman said Hun Sen is loved and respected by people from all walks of life in Cambodia, as well as in the region and the world, because of his heroism, particularly in putting his life on the line to rescue the country from the genocidal Khmer Rouge.
But yeah, well, apart from Paetongtarn, another development in Thai politics that has been widely reported in the media this week is Thaksin's Judgment Day.
Wow.
Might sound like a bit like a movie theme, a movie title, but no, this is real life. Thaksin is facing court on a lese-majeste charge, and the ruling is set for August 22nd. So this case goes all the way back to November 2015 when Thaksin Shinawat was in self-exile not long after the coup. He gave an interview to a South Korean media, and the content of the broadcast was deemed an insult to the monarchy by the Royal Thai Army, who later filed charge to the Police Central Investigation Bureau the following year. And the Attorney General then decided to file lese-majeste charge under the Criminal Code, plus charge under the Cybercrime Act as well.
Right. The indictment came during his time at the police hospital in 2024 after he returned from self-exile on August 22nd, 2023. It is interesting to highlight that the ruling is also set for August 22nd, that is roughly a month from now, the 2-year anniversary of his return to Thailand. So, but Thaksin's lawyer told the media that Thaksin will attend the court in person to hear the verdict set for 10 a.m. on that day.
Yeah, so is it purely coincidence? Is it planned? We don't know, but it just happens to be the 2nd anniversary of his return to Thailand. Not much information was revealed about the closed-door hearing this week, so it's quite difficult to assess which way the verdict would go. Initially, the defense team planned to present 14 key witnesses, but it turned out that they were only 3 people. So it included the former Deputy Prime Minister Wisanu Keungam, Paetongtarn, who was the former Permanent Secretary to the Prime Minister's office, and Thaksin himself. And Thaksin lawyer said that the ruling date was set after the defense team informed the court that it had presented sufficient testimony and was resting its case.
A crowd of red shirt supporters also gathered outside the court to show their support for Thaksin. Several present and past politicians were also present, including Thepchai Somewhat, a former prime minister and Thaksin's brother-in-law. Thaksin himself also talked about this court case on Thursday night in an interview on MCOT. He said, "I have been to court myself, so I know the prosecution has no evidence. Nothing is solid. I asked the investigators, if there was no pressure that day, would you indict me with the evidence that you have in hand?" They said they wouldn't issue an indictment, let alone consider the case. But they respected the court and did not want to say anything in advance. So simply put, I think Thaksin is very confident that there is no case against him.
Yeah, the worst verdict that could come out would be guilty, right? And then he still has the opportunity to appeal. But Thaksin said that he is not worried.
All right, now we come to one of the biggest political stories of the week. That is the passing of 3 bills seeking to grant amnesty to political offenders. And the bills were passed by the House of Representatives. I mean, after years of political polarization, politicians on both sides of the aisle believe that they are now just one step away closer to bringing about national reconciliation among people of different political colors.
So this one is a complicated one and requires a lot of elaborating for a lot of international audience as well, because a lot of people would be wondering. So according to figures provided by the Pheu Thai party, the core party in the Paetongtarn coalition government, there are more than 3,200 people who have been charged or are under either on trial or already behind bars as a result of the series of political turbulence that hit the country over the past 2 decades. Now, these people are accused of a wide range of offenses, so from destroying state properties and inciting public unrest to violating the emergency decree and illegal possession of firearms.
They were among those involved in street protests or activities organized by the so-called red shirts and yellow shirts, the two opposing political movements at the time, as well as the so-called Rasadon group opposed to the military intervention following the coup in 2014. And the good news for these people is that, as we mentioned, 3 separate pieces of legislation designed to grant them amnesty have been passed by the House in the first reading. But the bad news is that those charged are being imprisoned for violating the lese-majeste law, better known as Article 112, will not be covered by these bills once they become laws.
This is a very contentious issue. According to the Thai Lawyers for Human Rights Center, there are as many as 278 people who have been charged or under detention for allegedly violating Article 112 during the political disturbance between 2020 and 2025. And they include many young activists advocating a reform of the monarchy.
Now, in the same session that the House passed the 3 bills granting amnesty for political offenses, it also rejected another 2 bills that would extend amnesty for offenders of Article 112. All the 5 pieces of legislation essentially aim to put an end to Thailand's decades-long political division and bring about national reconciliation.
Opponents of the 2 bills advocating amnesty for offenders of Article 112 argue that instead of promoting national reconciliation, they would further deepen political and social division. And one of the 2 bills was proposed by former leader of the now defunct Move Forward Party, Chaitawat Tulathon, and supporters, and the other was proposed by Pun Sukjaran of the Thai Lawyers for Human Rights. Now, the 3 bills approved by the House are those submitted by 2 of the partners of the ruling Paetongtarn coalition, namely the United Thai Nation and Clare parties, and by Phum Chai Thai Party, which is now in the opposition camp.
The 3 bills essentially exclude offenders of the lese-majeste law from the proposed amnesty. And subsequently, the House appointed a 32-member panel to scrutinize the 3 approved drafts, with the one proposed by the United Thai Nation Party to be used as the core bill during the scrutiny process. And during the House debate before the vote, MPs of the opposition People's Party voiced strong support for amnesty for offenders of Article 112, but MPs of this party happen to be the minority voice in the House.
Its MP Sasinan Tham Nithinan asked why all other political offenders are to be granted amnesty, while those who are convicted on lese-majeste charges will be left in limbo. And here's what she said. She said, while we are talking about promotion of peace and reconciliation, to do away with conflicts, we are abandoning this group of people. So she was referring to those charged with lese-majeste. And also, some people say I am stupid or crazy for talking about the impossible, but I believe deep in my heart that if you do not talk about Section 112 today, it will be raised for discussion one day. We cannot escape this truth, said Sasinan.
Another vocal advocate for amnesty for offenders of Article 112, Patchimanon, questions why those found guilty of taking part in shutting down airports and government offices are to be granted amnesty, while people who merely express their views on the lese-majeste law have to continue to suffer. He was referring to protesters under the banner of the People's Alliance for Democracy, or PAD, better known as the Yellow Shirt, who occupied both Don Mueang and Suvarnabhumi international airports at the height of their month-long protest against the then Prime Minister Thaksin.
Yeah, also to benefit from the proposed amnesty bill will be the so-called red shirt protesters who were engaged in violent activities, including arson, during their protest against Abhisit government in 2010. Now, the rejection of the two bills meant to grant amnesty to Article 112 defenders came as a big blow to the People's Party.
Speaking after the House vote, leader of the People's Party, Nattapong Ringpanya, said his party is not giving up and will continue with its attempts to help those charged or convicted under Article 112. He pointed out that the scrutiny of the three amnesty bills by the House Committee may provide an opportunity for the party to once again highlight its stand on the questions of Article 112.
Yeah, he said, we will exhaust all mechanisms in the House to ensure that whatever amnesty that will come about will be comprehensive and inclusive. There are sources in the party who are still expressing optimism that one of the three bills proposed by the United Thai Nation Party and adopted by the House doesn't exclude the possibility of extending amnesty to Article 112 offenders.
No, but legal experts seem to concur that all doors for that possibility are now closed. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to have an amnesty bill that excludes offenders of Article 112 for now, it seems. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in Thai politics this week.
Still another busy week went by, right?
Yeah, and yeah, lots of numerology involved. 22, second anniversary birthday.
I believe that a lot of people are holding their breath, waiting for what else Hun Sen, the strongman of Cambodia, has to say about the Shinawat family. The back and forth between the Thaksin and Hun Sen in the past 1 week was just the latest in the ongoing war of words between the two families, right?
Yeah, and the relationship goes back decades
with
the two families, so they obviously know a lot about each other.
Yeah, but the latest salvo certainly is not the end of it yet. Remember, Hun Sen has threatened to expose what he claims to be skeletons in Thaksin's closet, right? We don't know what they are, but we can be certain that they will not be very present for Thaksin.
Might gradually come out, remains to be seen. Well, thank you so much for watching MediaPulse this week. I hope you like it. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.